Mexican food in Europe is horrible. There's no good Mexican food in Europe. Have you heard this before? Have you thought this before? I definitely have. As an American who has eaten Mexican food her whole life, I have high standards for Mexican food. I also lived in New York City for 13 years. There are so many amazing Mexican restaurants there. And I've been to Mexico 7 times. I love it. Such a beautiful place. But when I've traveled to Europe over the years, it has been so sad and disappointing where I go to even well-reviewed Mexican restaurants and say, what is this? What is this? Sometimes it's not spicy. Sometimes the flavors are totally off. Sometimes it's greasy, just like not hitting the spot. However, there is hope. And that's what this video is about. I have found some Mexican restaurants in Europe that are actually good. And I want to talk to you about how I did it, how you can find some too, and what to look for. When you travel and you want some comfort food, Mexican food is my go-to. What's your go-to? What cuisine are you looking for on your travels? Let's talk about some of the good ones so we can have hope alive. I have eaten at a really beautiful restaurant called Maiz in Vienna, Austria, where it was a little bit expensive, but totally worth it. The tacos, okay, the tortillas were nixtamales. I'm not gonna be able to explain what that means. All I know is that that's the authentic way of preparing the corn into tortillas that has been done from the ancient times. So when I see that kind of keyword, I'm like, oh, this might be good. That's something that can alert you to a restaurant that's probably going to be better than some other ones. Now, the ownership was not Mexican. That's another thing I look for. Is the owner Mexican? But they had spent time studying. It was a woman chef. She had really respected the culture, studied it, and has spent time in Mexico and paid her dues. So I appreciate that someone was really trying to honor the Mexican cuisine. Another amazing Mexican restaurant that I went to was very random in Turin, Italy, or Torino in Italiano. This restaurant was called Beso. And I found this on the map and said, I think we should give it a try. When I looked at the menu, I had a sense that they were authentic ingredients and it looks really nice. What was awesome there were the salsas. The salsas were actually spicy. There was a variety of salsas, handmade, so delicious. And they had some vegetarian options for me since I don't eat meat. So that ended up being a nice surprise. The other Mexican restaurant that gives us hope is actually a chain in Spain called TKO Tacos. It is a chain. You can find them all over Spain. And they are known for having cheap and affordable options. Some of their tacos are even only €1. They also have vegetarian options. Things are seasoned well. They have actually spicy salsas and they're delicious. So keeping these in mind and knowing that it's possible, here are my tips when you go to Europe to find some Mexican food. Because sometimes you just want that flavor. Sometimes you just want Mexican food, and that's okay, even if you're traveling in another country that has a different cuisine. When you go on Google reviews, which is where I find a lot of places, I recommend looking at the distribution of the reviews. So basically, you should see the most of the reviews should be 5-star, then 4-star, 3-star, 2-star. And 1-star should be the shortest bar. But it's a red flag when a restaurant has a 1-star bar that's bigger than the 2-star, the 3-star. And that's an outlier. So when that happens, I click and I read those 1-star reviews. I want to know, what are they saying? Sometimes you see that it's tourists who expect service to be just like it is in the United States, like right away, everything, they're always coming around. And that's just not an expectation that you can have in Europe. So you have to look at, is this a reviewer that I am culturally aligned with, that I am values aligned with? Do I trust them? Because unfortunately, you can go to highly reviewed Mexican restaurant and totally not like them and feel like the food is not what you were looking for. So looking at the 1-star reviews is helpful. I also look at reviews from anybody who says that they're Mexican. I look and see, what are they saying? And, I use that to help inform me. Another thing I look for is the word authentic. Now, just because someone says authentic doesn't mean it's actually authentic, but it is a clue that you can dig in more from there. That gives me a little bit of hope if I see that they're professing to be authentic. And those are some things that you can check out. Of course, I look at the menu and I look at how like tacos are prepared, for example. Sometimes tacos in Europe don't have the cilantro and onions that taquerias have in the US and even in Mexico, but that doesn't mean that they're not good tacos. Any restaurant that has cheese in the tacos, that's a red flag for me because cheese is not necessary ingredient or an authentic ingredient in most tacos. That would be for a quesadilla. And also, quesadillas in Mexico are not these big flour tortillas. They are small tortillas and they are folded in half. So if I see authentic quesadillas, that's exciting. Another thing to look for when you're looking at a menu is, are the taco tortillas made of flour or corn? As we know, or hopefully we know, authentic Mexican tacos are going to have corn tortillas. Looking for that can be a clue and let you know if this restaurant is going to meet your standard. And that's not to say that Mexico doesn't use flour tortillas. They do use flour tortillas for different things, but of course, Mexico's huge and it depends on the region and the cuisine varies across the country. For the corn tortillas, they have to be soft tortillas. Those are the ones I'm talking about. I am not talking about the country corn tortillas that are like chips. I don't even know what you would call taco shell that you might see at Taco Bell. If Taco Bell are your favorite Mexican food, then none of these tips are for you. This video is not for you. You can keep on enjoying your Taco Bell. Also, I want to say a disclaimer. I am not Mexican. I am Cuban and Puerto Rican, and it's important to note that I'm coming from this perspective as an American with Cuban and Puerto Rican roots, and I'm not an expert on Mexican cuisine. This is my opinion. I just love Mexican food. So I'm doing my best here. Feel free to correct me on anything that you think that I got wrong. So those are some of the things that I look for. I think overall, you will find places that hit the spot for you. They won't replace Mexican food that you can have in the United States or Mexico, but they can be good enough and they can be tasty and you can enjoy them. And when we're far from home, that's what we can look for that can make you happy. How do you experience this problem? Have you had challenges finding Mexican food in your travels that's actually good? What are your tips? Let me know, and I'll see you around next time.